Some bands actually can change their style and make it work. Sometimes they sound better than what they originally did. Years ago, I made a list video about bands that tried changing their style and it did not work out. That got a good reception and sparked a lot of debate in the comments. Fast forward to 2026 and the YouTube algorithm started pulling that video towards more viewers again. Along with that, people started asking if I'd make a video about bands that changed their style, and it worked. Well, here we are. No rankings here, just a list of bands and artists who I think made a change in their style and sound, and it worked well for them. Before we get to the list, honorable mention Metallica. Yes, they changed their style in the early 90s. It worked well for them whether you like the change or not. Just a quick mention because so many others have talked about this. I want to talk about 10 more, but yes, Metallica does count. There. Now Metallica fans will be mad at me because I didn't talk about Metallica enough in this video, but whatever. Thank you for checking this out. Please hit the like button if you enjoy it. Please subscribe if you want more like this. You know how this works. Let's get to it.
Old suitcase, clean getaway.
Starting with someone who is not a band, I'm aware, but Poppy is a fantastic, obvious choice for completely changing lanes into something wildly different from what she started out from, but, you know, keeping all the craziness. Poppy went from a viral internet pop video meme with sugary songs, ditched all the horrible people associated with her at the time, and embraced the dark side into aggressive and chaotic metal while continuing to evolve. The transition felt fast, but in 2019, many people started realizing it was not just a gimmick, but that Poppy was going to continue creating in the heavy music world from metal to grunge to atmospheric and electronic, and more often than not, she nails it. Add all the many collaborations she's done with other heavy bands, and Poppy proved she knew how to make her big change work. I get that Poppy is not for everyone, and trying to understand Poppy's humor and shenanigans can be confusing, but the music is what matters, and she keeps delivering. I bet that'll keep happening also. This one will take some explaining, but I think I can make my point pretty well. Because over the last decade, Bad Omens have exploded, and I think it's because they shifted their execution and format into something far past metalcore. TikTok and YouTube definitely helped Bad Omens, no denying that, but that boost happened after Noah Sebastian and company shifted from basic metalcore and went deep with the tone and atmospheric sound. It wasn't about breakdowns anymore, it was about setting a mood. Even after the death of Peace of Mind, look at some of the newer material the band has put out as singles. They are not cookie-cutter metalcore, and some of them aren't really in the metal category either. They are making their own style of music. Bad Omens did not just change their sound, they raised their ceiling, and in doing so, they helped redefine what modern heavy music is allowed to be. The Packed Arena tour they did recently helps prove that. Let's get a bit more serious now. Really serious. As in, if I don't take Radiohead incredibly serious, then I'll have a bunch of Radiohead fans filled with rage and ready to drop a 10-point essay about questions nobody asked. That being said, Radiohead changed and did great. This group was born and raised perfectly into the Britpop era. That's fine. But around the late 90s, Tom York and company realized they could do so much more and started experimenting with electronic art and prog, and they did not look back. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Radiohead albums, even the later 2000s and 2010s releases, are some of the most critically acclaimed alternative rock albums you can ever find, and they would not have gotten that love if they kept playing songs like Creep. I know Pablo Honey and the bands have their fans, fine. But Radiohead became a different beast when jumping to the digital world of creativity, and I think fans realized that style was what would make Radiohead stand out for good reasons. If the urge for creativity wasn't there in the late 90s, Radiohead would not have stayed around as long. So anytime I bring a Pantera up on this channel, both the chuds come out and the people pointing out the problematic behavior come out. Please hold off, as I'm aware of Anselmo and the band having many problems in the past, not excusing it. The point of this entry is to make it clear that Pantera greatly changed their style for the absolute best in music. The best thing you can say to mouth-breathing problematic Pantera fans is talk to them about 80s glam Terra. Don't hold back, show them pictures also. That causes a lot of the ankle monitor wearing Pantera fans to get quiet really quick. Also, a lot of Pantera's music after changing their style really holds up. Pantera became a household name and an institution of metal because of the change in sound, members, presentation, everything. None of the Pantera legacy would have happened if it was Dimebag Darrell playing wannabe Van Halen hits. Power Metal the album was the first step in a big change and what Pantera badly needed. This is an entry where I think no one can argue Pantera made the right call. Say what you want about the band's legacy and history, good or bad, but the music getting heavier was what needed to happen. Pantera went from glam to groove metal, and Alice in Chains went from glam to grunge. Another not so well-known fact about one of the best bands in heavy music ever is that Alice in Chains was originally sleaze, and Lane Staley was originally full hair metal. When Staley tried out for the band Sleaze in the 80s, which would eventually become Alice in Chains, Staley covered Looks That Kill from Motley Crue in the tryouts. It wasn't until the late 80s that members would change behind Staley, and they didn't have to be a glam cover band. They could help usher in a new era of rock. This is another example of playing to your strengths and writing out music that means something to you instead of doing trendy covers. Alice in Chains creating Facelift and Dirt and Jar of Flies would not be the same defining statements if they were still trying to wow women in leather chaps and hairspray. Alice in Chains didn't just change their style, they shed their entire skin and became one of the big four in grunge as a result. I get that the ladies love throwing roses at Staley as a cover band artist and sleaze, but no, you know what? The world needed Alice in Chains. Hayley Williams and whatever iteration of Paramore you want to pinpoint have come a long way from the glorious emo days of MTV and the tail end of TRL, turning into something completely different as the years rolled on, all while still keeping a similar identity too. Those emo fans will never abandon Paramore and Hayley Williams, but Paramore did trade that style for eventual synths, electronica, and full-on alt-pop in the current decade, to the point where Paramore fans don't know what to expect next. When several members of Paramore left in the 2010s, I think that pushed the remainder of the group into trying completely new things. The group started as the poster band for a generation of emo kids and quietly evolved into one of the most artistically adventurous bands in the alt world. That creativity is still there, and Paramore still relishes in the old days on tour while putting out new synth, alt, pop, rock, electronic, alt nation style music. I'm pretty sure, in fact, that SiriusXM Alt Nation has aligned Williams as their long-running queen of the universe. You'll have to hear me out on this one, as I promise I can make sense of my argument here. As a longtime Deftones fan, there is a traceable change from the mid-90s all the way to 30 years later, where Deftones now revel in something different than skate punk nu metal. Look around the fur and adrenaline. Then about how White Pony helped the band evolve into something different. It's years after that, in the 2010s, the band embraced the shoegaze side of Deftones, and now they've made masterpieces in that style. The difference from Adrenaline to Koino Yokun is huge, and the changes make you realize just how well Deftones evolved into their own style. There are few bands like what Deftones are now, and fewer that started out the way they did. While Deftones' nu metal peers burned out and became nostalgia acts over time, Deftones did something almost unheard of. They got more respected with each album almost every time, and that's difficult to do, but every release Deftones came out with, people paid attention, and more often than not, Deftones fans were extremely happy. This was an entry that many people suggested in the previous comment section and on the community tab. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized the validity of Tobias Forge changing the sound of Ghost from the early 2010s to present day. There has been a lot more in style than the much more dooming debut. Dooming in the sense of slow doom metal vibe on the original releases and recordings. Once Tobias Forge started getting a bigger stage and more to work with, the music became intentionally catchy and filled with uplifting melodies, regardless of how wild the lyrics get. The Spirit Halloween levels of blasphemy are still there, but the audible tones of the music is much more inviting and groove-filled to the point of dancing along. What started as darker, slower Black Sabbath-influenced music led to ABBA comparisons out of Sweden. When the arena shows came up, the full spectacle of Ghost became apparent. Ghost started as a mysterious cult-like band that gained a lot of attention until the festival circuit started giving them a chance, and songs from Meliora and beyond could not be ignored. Papa and the Ghouls walked right into a spotlight after that point because they made those changes. The shift from pop punk to emo is not exactly a huge journey, but when you look at the career perspective of Green Day, there is a lot of change from Kerplunk to Nimrod to American Idiot rock opera and beyond. Green Day has covered much more than people give credit. When you look at the long timeline and see them going from West Coast punk and pop punk shenanigans about the despondent 90s to politically charged anthems with an emo skin equipped, the change was noticeable in several ways and it continued Green Day's longevity. The band that wrote Dookie would go on to write a rock opera format about the decay of Western society while also including a retroactive song looking back to the loss of a father. That is a change in tone if I've ever heard one, though I still love Dookie. The album, not the... It doesn't matter. Green Day didn't just change their sound from bare bones punk, they changed their ambition to being something massive and thought-provoking. That's a big change for a band that has a member called Trey Cool and a singer that writes songs like Longview. I mean, a big change. Possibly one of the best examples of a change in style working well in different ways. I get the longtime deathcore fans did not love all the changes, but the many fans that Bring Me the Horizon has gained since 2012 and beyond would argue the band is all set. Jordan Fish spending over a decade with Ollie Sykes and company made for mostly big steps and solid music while also staying heavy for the most part. I did not love everything Bring Me the Horizon put out since 2012, but I definitely enjoyed most of it, and some of it I still listen to all the time. From Sempiternal to That's the Spirit to the amazing Posthuman series that's still ongoing, I think Bring Me the Horizon realized they can make whatever they want and still get heavy whenever they want. They don't have to stick to one style. And now that Jordan Fish has moved on and Bring Me the Horizon is doing arena tours, the band will continue to change, and everything that Bring Me the Horizon has would not have happened if they had stayed in the Count Your Blessings phase. I don't have to enjoy every shift or new album. I'm still going to check out everything that happens for Bring Me the Horizon because the track record is still solid and there's more Posthuman to come. These are definitely not the only examples of bands that have changed their sound over long periods of time and made it work, even for brief periods. Let me know some of your favorites in the comments. Until then, thank you for watching this and the previous video a few years ago about bands changing when they didn't work out as well. If you enjoy this, subscribe for more, and if you're still not subscribed, here's something to win you over. Some animal footage. Taking our Ivan on a walk as it's nicer weather outside finally, and he's sniffing the grass every chance he gets. We usually have to pull him up a little bit because if we didn't, every walk would take about 5 hours. He loves to explore and loves to sniff, even if it's the same stuff he sniffed every day. He's still a good boy.